Good afternoon, curling fans. We are right in the middle of the Schenkel stage of the 16th International Wheelchair Curling Tournament here in Curling Club Wetzikon in the Zurich Oberland. On the screen, you see the draw. We have Team Korea, who are not budging from the top of the table, but they're up against Scotland, who are back in form from this morning. We have the Italian team from Albatross Trentino Club. They are up against Slovakia. That's two teams also doing well in the competition. We have an all-Swiss affair. We have Curling Club St. Gallen against the second Team Switzerland outfit. We have the national team of Italy playing Team Poland. Our featured game this afternoon will be Team WAGAMI from the US, and they are up against the first Switzerland team. And finally, we have the home team, Curling Club Wetzikon, and they are playing against the team from England. We will be keeping eyes on all of those scores. And our featured game here on sheet 3. It is Team WAGAMI from US, so they have travelled a long way to support our competition. And they are up against first Team Switzerland. And the Swiss not having such a happy weekend so far. Just one win so far. And our visitors also on one win. Everyone is wearing red uniforms. But it is the American team, Team WAGAMI. They start with last stone in this first end. They are playing blue stones, and they get last stone advantage by way of being higher ranked in the ranking table. Team Switzerland, they're playing yellow. And we will be talking to Team WAGAMI from the US. We will be talking to them after this game. Just asking how their experience is going. Their first time visiting our competition here in Wetzikon. We just spoke to Team Scotland at lunchtime. Look for that video popping up on the tournament Instagram channel. Do follow us on Instagram. The handle is IWCT_CH. That's IWCT for International Wheelchair Curling Tournament, IWCT_CH. And we spoke to the team from St. Gallen yesterday. They had a very successful first day. They're on 2 wins out of 3. Yeah, a whole lot of teams on 2 wins now. Korea sit at the top. They are the only unbeaten team now with 3 wins. And we have all of Albatross Trentino, Slovakia, Scotland, St. Gallen, and second Team Switzerland. They are all on 2 wins. Italy, Wetzikon, Poland, WAGAMI, and Swiss 1. They are all on 1 win. And Team England still looking for that first win this weekend. We will need to concentrate today, viewer. As I said, everybody wearing red uniforms. Red, always a popular colour. We'll need to keep eye on which stone colour is coming. It's the team from the US, they are playing blue. And the Swiss team, they are playing yellow. We have 3 continents represented here at our international. Always very well supported, this competition. We saw our guests from Korea in the morning session. They've travelled a long way to support the competition, and gosh, they mean business. They have looked really strong throughout, very consistent. Really find their weight quickly. and very consistent, precise stone placement. So they come from the Asia Pac region, and Team WAGAMI from the US. They are representing the whole of North America here this weekend. And we thank them very much for supporting our competition here. Always a really popular competition for the wheelchair players. Many of these teams, they will be travelling after this weekend. They will travel to Scotland, and there is another competition, also wheelchair athletes, in Stirling next weekend, and they can all play each other all over again. This is a nice aggressive start. In the first end, we have a couple of guards out front. We have a Swiss stone in that front ring. We always like to see stones in play. Oh, there's on the banner there at the back, Media Rent. That is our stream team. Come back from last year. We all had a great time on the live stream last year, and we are delighted that Media Rent are able to help us again this year. And as I said, new for this year, we have some interviews with the teams. And that's all thanks to our partners at Media Rent. And Team WAGAMI from the US, will talk about them doing this game, but heaps of experience in that team. And also on the Swiss side, most of the players in our featured game today been playing really from the beginning of wheelchair curling for 10 years or more. Cautious stuff from either team, just exchanging hit for hit. And I guess that's what we will see again. The other option, that's how we got here. So this was just removing that US stone. As you can see, what will happen though is if you hit that yellow, the blue will land outside of the rings now. So the other option would be to come up the other side of the sheet on the anti-clockwise handle. But that's a very aggressive call for this first end. And I think this is the more sensible idea. Same idea for the US team. They just want to remove that dangerous Swiss stone. And that they have done, no problem. And it is the Americans who have last stone in this first end. And that reflected in the Swiss just wanting to remove those blues out front. That blue not in the rings, not in the house yet, but you can imagine the tiniest of pushes at the right angle, and you could even get a split and have suddenly two blues in the house. So again, this is a sensible decision here in the first end for Switzerland. Just removing that danger stone. Now time for a bit of target practice for the US. The ice has been looking nice and fast and curly all weekend. Danny Strife, the ice maker. He's been the ice master here for ever, I think. And I know that he always prepares very nice, fast and swingy ice for the competitions. That's normal now, competition standard ice. Oh, and we have a fresh crop of yellow volunteers to help keep the game moving. You will see yellow volunteers sprinkled all over the ice rink. And they are there to mostly to manage the stones, make sure stones that have gone out of play are tidied up behind the rink. And then at the throwing end, line the stones up ready to throw and just clean the stone underneath. And that's a very nice first throw for Team WAGAMI there. That is a very nice weight to keep in your pocket for the rest of the game. Of course, immediately obvious in the wheelchair game compared to the foot player game, the Fußgänger game, is that there's no sweeping. Once you have released your stone in wheelchair curling, that's it. You do not have two of your teammates sweeping to drag the stone a little further or try to help it stay straight or try to grab some curl. You have to get it right first time. And that just increases the level of difficulty for every stone, really, in wheelchair curling. So that's just always good to keep in mind. That sometimes we'll see a stone and you think, oh gosh, if you'd had two big boys sweeping that, they could probably have moved it another couple of meters. That is a good throw for the Swiss. Think how often you use your sweepers at the club or when you're playing in a tournament. How often you think, oh, I maybe didn't throw that quite hard enough, but that's okay. The sweepers can drag it a little bit further. Not possible in the wheelchair game. Second attempt. The US going up the other side of the sheet here. On the clockwise handle, you can see the stone rotating clockwise. They maybe just want to understand how both sides of the sheet are running, the clockwise handle and the anti-clockwise. Sprinkling some magic dust to get that stone to stop. It is going to hang on, is it? Oh, not quite. And that means that then Switzerland now, with their last stone of this first end, Switzerland has a chance to get to the centre first and put some pressure on the last stone of the US. The Swiss skip a left-hander. And sometimes that can just change the angle a little bit. But in wheelchair curling, you can put the stone roughly where you would like it to start as long as it's touching that centre line. So you can't just move yourself over to the corner and then go towards the centre at an angle from the edge of the sheet. That's not allowed. But that's a fine effort for the Swiss. That puts pressure on this last stone for the US. Final throw of the first end then. It is Switzerland lying 1. And there's a controlled takeout from the US. Not quite full beans. Is it going to catch enough? Oh, it isn't though. A brave effort, but doesn't quite catch enough of that Swiss stone. So that's a bright start for the Swiss team. Both of the teams in our featured game looking for a second win this weekend. They're both on 1 win and 2 losses so far. So an unexpected steal for Switzerland. That means you score when you don't have last stone. You can see on the board there. Right in the early stages then at the first end of our featured game here at the 16th International Wheelchair Curling Tournament in Wetzikon. It is the Swiss who have an early lead over the team from the US, Team WAGAMI, 1-0. An early lead then for the Swiss team, playing yellow, stealing 1. You can see how many red uniforms there are out there, team. It is still then Team WAGAMI from the US who have last stone advantage in the second end. And I think they will be fairly happy with their start as well. It was a good throw with the final throw from the Swiss team that caused the Swiss to pick up that 1 point. So I don't think Team WAGAMI will be too disappointed. And a nice accurate start from the lead thrower for WAGAMI. So that's a nice opportunity to say hello to the teams. Lead thrower for Team WAGAMI, that is Stacey Rice. Second thrower is Scott Smith. Third and skip is Jeff Snover. And fourth thrower is Sean Timberlake. And for Switzerland, that is Stephanie Compliment, throwing lead. Second thrower is Pierre-Alain Tercier. Third and skip is Constantin Schmeh. And fourth thrower is Hans Burgener. So a mixture of French and German Swiss there. But Swiss people are always very talented. Language-wise, Swiss people, they can typically speak at least 3, if not 4, of their national languages. Romansh is often a bit tricky. What would our objectives then be in this second end? Objective for Team Switzerland, fairly similar. without last stone, Team Switzerland, they just want to prevent the US team from being able to score big. And what do we mean by big? We mean 2 or more points with last stone. And the objective for the US then is exactly the reverse. They would love to score big, i.e. 2 or more points, now that they have last stone advantage. So we will see them trying to get stones in play. But the Swiss keeping things pretty tidy in these early stones. You can see the players out there, they all have their own delivery stick. And you don't need to have your own. If you're a wheelchair user and you're a sporty one and you'd like to try curling, you don't need any modification to your normal day-to-day chair. And you don't need to have a delivery stick. The curling club has that. So even if it's just you, don't feel shy. Just get in touch with your local curling club. And there are dedicated wheelchair curling clubs, but again, you don't need it. We do have quite a strong wheelchair club here in Club WAGAMI, and actually a team from the club, they are also in this competition. They're on sheet 1. But even if it's just you, at the club level, it's perfectly normal for everyone to play together. So you can have a wheelchair team playing with foot players, either a team in a competition, or you can also play in the same team, a mix of foot players and wheelie players. So even if it's just you, get in touch with your local curling club and they will be delighted to help. Looks like Team WAGAMI, they are seeming to find quite nice tee weight here, draw weight, getting stones in the house. But that blue stone just slipping over tee. And that means there is space for the Swiss team to follow that down. We saw how important that was in our morning round. We were watching the teams from Korea and Slovakia doing battle, and it was Korea who were really just being a bit more consistent with their weight, just finding the rings a bit more frequently, and that was really what won them the game. Good try from the Swiss team. It didn't quite find the line though, and that means there is now a chance for the US to start closing that door. This can be a risk, playing towards the centre if you have last stone. If your opposition gets there first, it can be quite difficult to pick that stone out. But the US took a bit of a risk, played behind that guard. The Swiss weren't quite able to find that line, and what a nice throw that is. Gold star for you, Scott Smith. And it is the US lying 1 and 2. With a bit of cover out front, they will be very pleased with their second end so far. And let's see how everyone else is doing. Over on sheet 1, it was a score of 2 to the home club, Team WAGAMI, over Team England. So they are leading 2-0 after one end. On sheet 2, that's the only one I can't quite see. I'll need to ask someone and get back to you on that. Here's a replay of that nice throw from the Swiss team. High quality start in this game. Nice precise shots from both teams. On sheet 4 next to us, you can see their scoreboard in the background, and it's top of the table Korea, and they are playing resurgent Scotland. And yeah, Scotland, they didn't play badly yesterday. It was, as we said, it was a very close game all the way to the final throw. Confirmation there on your screen of our featured game. But Scotland-Korea, I thought that would be a tight affair. And they have blanked the first end, and we'll come back to that. We discussed this morning that blanking ends in this competition format can be a bit silly. On sheet 5, it's Team Albatros Trentino from Italy, and they are playing last year's champions Slovakia, and it's the Italians who are 1-0 after one end. Slovakia not having their best game this morning. And actually, they're down to 3 players, unfortunately, Slovakia. One of their players not feeling so good and resting up at the hotel. So Slovakia a bit up against it today, not having their best day. Finally, on sheet 6, it's the national team from Italy. They are playing Poland, and it's the Italians who bounced out to a 2-0 lead after one end. An accurate end in our featured game here in the second end. Who's going to blink first and give the opposition a chance? Not Switzerland, not so far. That's a really nice throw from them. That yellow has found a really good spot. It's just at the front of the house. But important is that it's ahead of the tee line. So the tee line halfway across the rings there. That's the part of the ice that you really want to control, is exactly where those 2 yellows are. Everything ahead of tee line is dangerous. You can push it a little bit further, get it closer to the centre. Anything behind tee, if you push that, it will simply get further away. And that's why you will see both teams eager to control that area ahead of tee line. So big weight coming from Team WAGAMI. On the clockwise handle. Oh, they were aiming for that yellow, but that stayed very straight. At that heavier weight, it doesn't have so much chance to curl back. And now this could be an opportunity for the Swiss to put some pressure on the US. Just going along the back of your screen there, that's Nicole. She's the event's official photographer. You will see her photos on the Instagram channel. And you can see her own Instagram channel at Ruby Photography. There's her logo there, just on your screen. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, as always. It's really one of the most well-supported and popular competitions in the wheelchair calendar now, our tournament here in Vetikon, and that's in large part thanks to our sponsors who make it a really nice event. You feel very well looked after. Here at the club, you have some nice homemade Swiss food for lunch and dinner. And the hotel is right across the street. And we're not too far from the airport. We go and pick everyone up and bring them back to town. Very popular competition for all the wheelchair teams, and that's because of our ongoing sponsorships. So a big thank you to them. Right, Team WAGAMI, you have a second chance at this shot now. And it's the first throw for their fourth thrower, Sean Timberlake. The stone coming at pace as well. Is it going to curl in time? It's certainly caught enough of that yellow to move it out of play. That does open up the blue behind. But first things first, if the US wants to score any points this end, they had to do something about that yellow, and they have. Final throw of the second end for the Swiss first team. That's Hans Burgener, fourth thrower. Taking a run at this American stone. He is going to connect. He does remove it. That's good play from the Swiss. Plenty of space for the US, but those two pesky Swiss stones hanging around. Never easy to draw against a couple of opposition stones. Oh, and just need to be careful when there's stones behind you, as always. Fully 8 foot then will be enough for a point for Team WAGAMI. Curling predating the metric system by many hundreds of years. And actually, typically in the US, they often still use the imperial measurements as well. So they will be familiar with the 12 foot, the 8 foot, and the 4 foot circles. And is he going to get it the cheeky way? I think he is. But he had the right weight. And that means that he punches up his own blue and levels the scores. So after 2 ends in our featured game, scores are level. Team WAGAMI and Team Switzerland, the first team from Switzerland, 1 each. There's all of our sponsors on the screen there. As we said, it's such a popular competition for all the wheelchair teams. And that's big thanks to all of our sponsors. And we have 2 games also tomorrow. This is our last game for today. This is the 4th round of the Schenkel system. We have a fifth round of Schenkel in the morning tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning, European. And then do join us for the ranking games at lunchtime, viewer. At 12:30, we will have the Zurich Caledonian Pipe Band will be piping all of the teams onto the ice. That's always a very special moment. Curling, of course, originating in Scotland, and many traditions, Scottish traditions, still associated with the game. And that's always very special that all the teams are piped onto the ice for the ranking games. So that begins at 12:30. That will be all on the live stream, the pipe band, and the ranking games for first, second, third, fourth will begin after that. So we still have plenty of curling left. Returning to our featured game then, what are our objectives for this third end? Nothing much has changed really, apart from it is now Team Switzerland who have last stone in the third end for the first time this game. But objectives fairly similar. With last stone, the Swiss team, they would like to score 2 or hopefully more. And Team US do not want Switzerland to score 2 or more. And that's why they're just carefully removing. Or is it? Oh, that didn't quite catch enough. Is that going to spin out that stone? Oh, it's not. That's a pity for Stacey Rice. We said it can be tough throwing a big weight if you're wheelchair user in the foot game. All of the power for our throws comes from a big leg drive. And you can maybe imagine when you are using only upper body strength rather than leg drive to get the power. And of course, all of these players, they will be strong in upper body. That's their normality. But yeah, using only upper body strength for those big throws, I imagine that's quite tough going. Again, that just increases the difficulty of the shots for wheelchair user. And yeah, sometimes just not quite enough running in the stone to fully remove an opposition stone there. And Switzerland taking advantage of that previous error from the US immediately. They have split the house completely. Very nice throw there from Stéphanie Combremont. That's us in the live stream office. We have a lovely view over all 6 sheets up here. So this is where all the techie stuff happens. So the US needs to be careful now. They do not have last stone anymore. This is a very aggressive call for not having last stone at this stage. But I think they've got away with it. Golly. A very bold call. Boldly made. Nice stuff, Team WAGAMI. Lovely throw from blue there. That's the view from the throwing end. That blue right in front of the Swiss stone, completely cancelling it out. And I suspect it will be hard to remove that blue stone without losing the Swiss stone as well. What can second thrower Pierre-Alain Tessier do about this situation? Has a long way to curl out from the centre, this stone. But, oh, he's overdone it. And that shows us what a good throw that was from the US. Set up well. Try to get a mistake from your opposition, and they have now. Their very bold call has paid off for them. Ooh, we have some updates from the other games. On sheet 1, we have home team from Club Etikon here in the Zurich Oberland. They started with 2, but Team England came straight back with a big 3. And that means after 2 ends, it's 3-2 to England. The scoreboard on sheet 2 is the only one I can't see, and that is Switzerland 2, and they are playing the team from St. Gallen. I will need to update you on that one a bit later. On sheet 4, that is top of the table Korea, and they are playing Inform Scotland. A tight affair on sheet 4. It was blanked in the first end, and it was Scotland stealing a 1 in the second. I think they may be the first team to steal an end from Korea. They'll be pleased with that start, and that is 1-0 to Scotland. Team Albatros Trentino from Italy. They are up against last year's champions, Slovakia, who are not having their best weekend. One of their players not on the ice, unfortunately, for this round, not feeling so good and resting up at the hotel. So, yeah, Slovakia got a tough job out there today, and it's the Italian team leading 2-0. And over on sheet 6, it's the national team of Italy. They are playing Poland, and goodness me, Poland have put a huge 5 on the board. They will be very pleased with themselves, and that means that after 2 ends only, on sheet 6, the score is Poland 5, Italy 2. No chance of a 5, I don't think, in our third end. Nice clean takeout there from Switzerland. Yeah, interesting that the Swiss are playing fairly conservatively here, quite defensively, even though they have last stone. And it was the US who really tried to take the game to Switzerland. They're the ones who played a freeze on that Swiss stone at the back. I think this is a much safer shot. They could try to freeze again, but I think that would be a ridiculously aggressive shot at this stage in the game. So let us indeed simply just try to remove that Swiss counter. Ooh, again, just making connection, but not quite enough. You can see that little hinged piece at the end of the delivery stick. That's how you put the handle on if you're using stick delivery. It's not only wheelchair users who use stick delivery. There are plenty of foot players who use it as well. If you maybe don't have so much mobility in your knees or so, then plenty of club players use stick delivery as well. And you can see that's how you put the handle on. You just give a little twist of the delivery stick and that little hinged piece at the end. That sets it off clockwise or anti-clockwise. And it is now Switzerland lying 2 after the US not connecting with enough of that Swiss stone to remove it. So Jeff Schnover then looking at maybe a double takeout. That's always very satisfying. And deciding to come at it at the clockwise handle. Maybe just taking note that the anti-clockwise handle seemed to stay a little bit straight with the previous throw. We will be talking to Team WAGAMI after this game. That's new for this year. We have Media Corner. And we've already spoken to the team from St. Gallen yesterday, who had a great day. They had 2 wins out of 2 against international teams. And we spoke to Team Scotland at lunchtime. And we will be speaking to Team WAGAMI after this game. And you will find all of those fun interviews on the Instagram for the competition. That is IWCT_CH. And no mistake that time for Jeff Schnover. Oh, stone going backwards there. I'm sure that didn't happen. He definitely replaced it. Not quite making the double, but hitting and sticking, and that's the next best thing. Konstantin Schmidt with his second throw of this third end. He does safely remove the blue, and he does hang around himself. That's what was needed. Switzerland looking well set up in this third end. We will need a double takeout from the US. Here's a nice replay of that stone. So nowhere near jamming on the back one and rolling away safely. Double takeout again, still possible, but never easy. And really from the very beginning of this end, Switzerland have just kept keeping 2 yellows in play, trying to tempt the US into a mistake, into missing one of those. Sometimes you'll hear people call that a junior 2. The most simple way of making 2 points is if you get an early miss from your opposition, and then you simply put a second counter in the house, keep them far away from each other if possible, and ta-da! 2 points, please. So Sean Timberlake removing one of the Swiss counters, but not hanging around himself. He would prefer if that red had stayed in play. Sorry, if his blue had stayed in play. Here it comes again. So he makes a good connection, but yeah, he doesn't quite get the right angle on that yellow to hang around himself. And that means big chance now for Switzerland to set up a score of 2 points. Big chance for Hans just needs this to land, ideally, somewhere in front of the house and keep it far away from the other one. This is looking nice. That is a very nice throw from Hans. Big thumbs up from his teammates. Yeah, you can see very, very difficult to remove both of those yellows. The Swiss team giving themselves every chance to set up for 2 points here. Remember, Team WAGAMI's objective is to try to limit the Swiss scoring opportunity. And so the best thing he can really do would be to maybe hit and roll in front of the yellow, or actually, it looks like maybe they have called a draw. They try to freeze on one of the American stones. Yeah, this stone not coming in too quickly. But, oh gosh, I'm not sure they've got the line on that one right. Oh no, that's not it. You can see the weight was quite good actually to just nudge up against that yellow in the back ring there. But unfortunately, they didn't find the right line there. And now, not only does Switzerland have a strong chance for a 2, they have a real big chance to score 3 here. You will not get a better chance than this to score a big end of 3 points. So controlled weight from Hans. He wants this yellow to hang around as well. And that makes a perfect connection. 1, 2, 3 yellows. So a couple of loose shots from the US there. No mistakes from Switzerland. A real good end from them. They're making perfect connection. Right on the nose. That yellow stops in its tracks. And that is 1, 2, 3 yellows up on the board. That will be an important end for Switzerland. Both teams looking for a second win. Both teams on 1 win and 2 losses. And a big 3 on the board in the background there. That means in our featured game, it's Team Switzerland, the first team of Switzerland versus Team WAGAMI from the US. And it is now Switzerland 4, WAGAMI 1. Momentum in our featured game this afternoon is currently with the team from Switzerland. A couple of loose shots there in that end from the US. And really 8 out of 8 for Switzerland. And what a difference that makes. Just very simple precision shots. An early miss from the US meant that Switzerland could get a second counter in the house. And they just stuck with that. Let's see then what the US doing. It looks like he's indicating to punch that Swiss stone out of play. I think it's maybe a bit early in the end to bail out. The problem with doing that is If you just remove that Swiss stone and then Switzerland removes the US stone, if you do that for 8 stones each, then the US will only end up with scoring 1. It's not the safest strategy to hope for a miss from your opposition with relatively straightforward shots like this. So Stacey Rice, that's exactly what was asked of her, and she does get a nice roll away from centre as well, just switching up the position for the next throw. Still relatively early in the game. We're only in the 4th end out of 8, just approaching halfway. Still time then for Team Wagami to get 3 points back, but unlikely to do it in this end with this strategy. Well, proving me wrong there. I said it wasn't the safest of strategies to cross your fingers for a miss or a half shot on an open stone here, but you can see that Swiss stone not curling enough and not catching enough of that blue stone, and the blue just hangs on at the back, and that gives Stacey Rice now a chance to put a second US counter into play, and maybe we will see a reverse of the 3rd end with a whole bunch of blues scattered around the house. And this looks good from Stacey. That is a great throw from her. Look at that, those 2 blues far apart from each other. Very difficult for Switzerland to make a double takeout. Gold star for you, Stacey Rice. And look at the score on the right of your screen there, viewer. It is Team Scotland who have stolen a 2nd point from top of the table Korea. And Scotland are now 2-0 ahead. They will have high hopes for this competition, Team Scotland. British curling have sent 2 teams to our competition. 1 team from Scotland, 1 team from England. And Scotland with a last shot loss yesterday evening. Strong performance this morning and looking strong out there against top of the table Korea. Scotland and Korea are the top 2 ranked teams in the competition. Korea ranked 5th in the world currently and Scotland 8th. Not surprising that that's a close game over there. But they did blank the first end, which in this scoring system, that can sometimes cost you. It's a Schenkel system. That's a nice Scottish word. And what that means is, at the conclusion of every round, teams are ranked. It's not only about winning or losing a game, teams are ranked on games won and ends won and points won. Your cumulative score is what determines your ranking. And that's why a blank end is a bit of a waste. That means nobody gets that end on their scorecard. And towards the end of a Schenkel system, and that will be after our final round tomorrow morning, I wonder if that might cost anyone, if they will wish that they had not blanked such an end and maybe booked an end on their overall cumulative score instead. So yeah, that's why it can be dangerous to blank an end in this scoring system. The more ends you have, the better your cumulative score. And look at that stone put on its brakes. That's a great throw from Pierre Alain. No chance of bringing that blue back into play. But good chance to sneak a second blue in, right behind your own guard. Right idea. Ooh, that is just going to put on its brakes in time. That's a handy effort from Scott Smith there. He does have a little bit of backing behind that stone he just threw, so he should be pleased with that. That's the view from the throwing end. Third and skip for Switzerland, Konstantin Schmidt. Ooh, is it going to sneak round the guard? It's not. There we are then. That setup did its job for the US. That was exactly what they were trying to do, was to set the end up. There, just a little sliver of the side of the stone catching, but that's enough to send it scooting past everything. That's exactly what the US were looking for. And we're really seeing a reversal of the third end. It's now the US with last stone advantage. They have the opportunity to get stones into play. Ready to throw is Jeff Schnover, third and skip of this team. And a big chance here for the US to put a bigger score back on the scoreboard. Looking for front of house then with this blue stone. That stone could do with putting its brakes on. But that's found a good spot. Similar setup that Switzerland are then facing. Let's remind ourselves why there's such a big difference between scoring 1 point with last stone and scoring 2. That's because you only have one last stone. Therefore, getting 1 point with your one last stone, relatively straightforward. And if you do that for 8 ends, you will end up with a score of 4 each. And that's why we will see the teams, when they have last stone, trying to set up a situation and get a miss from their opposition, so that we can then try to get more than 1 point. And the Swiss do remove one counter, but it is still the US lying 1. Same drill we will probably see then from Team WAGAMI. Big difference between putting a score of 2 or more on the board here and just 1. Just 1 stone to US would make it 4-2. And just 2 points would make it 4-3 at the halfway, and that would be a much more comfortable position going into the halfway for the US. Same idea then for Jeff Schnover. This looks nice. This looks really good. I think he's made a perfect adjustment. Those 2 stones were rather close together last time. And I think he's got that beautifully. Even if that blue stone, even if that's only like 3rd shot, so it's maybe not out counting the yellow in the back ring, not yet. But as we said, ahead of T-line, that's the important area. That's the area you want to control. That's where the danger stones are. You just need to nudge that blue just a few centimetres and suddenly you will be lying 2 points. I think so. I think therefore Jeff Schnover will be very happy with his 2 throws in this 4th end. We're approaching the halfway in our featured game on Saturday afternoon here in Club Veticon. Now, what was the call for this stone? I think it was maybe just aiming to sit on top of that big pile of stones at the back. Just try and take all of those out of play. And this is a great effort from Hans Burgener. You can see the line was perfect. And that's still a dangerous stone. There you can see from the throwing end, difficult angle to remove that yellow. You'll need to come at it on the clockwise handle. But if you don't curl enough, it's just going to squirt straight back into that pile of stones in the back rings. Good opportunity for 4th thrower Sean Timberlake. But he needs to be careful with this. You don't want to throw this one too high, otherwise you won't give it a chance to curl. We just want to curl towards the end of this throw to make sure that we don't just punch that yellow straight back into the big pile of stones behind it. That's the view for Sean Timberlake. And, oh my goodness, he does not connect there. And that's a pity. That was a good opportunity. I'm sure we will see Hans Burgener just try to make that same shot a bit more difficult. Switzerland, they don't need to score in this end, but they don't need to steal this end. They are +3. The score is 4-1. They just want to prevent Team WAGAMI from scoring big. Last throw of the fourth end for Swiss fourth thrower Hans Burgener. Very experienced Hans. He's been to Paralympic and 6 times Swiss champion. And I think that will do, you know. I think that's a pretty nice result, actually, for Hans. The angle is not kind for a double takeout. Yeah, I think, again, you need to come at this again on the clockwise handle. Well, the angle is challenging again. Hans having a really super game today. And Sean Timberlake not quite keeping up with his opposite number at the moment. Sean Timberlake's final throw. He's certainly made the adjustment. That's closer to the centre line. That's a better line. Oh, and he's terribly unlucky there. That is really a pity. Not quite catching at the right angle to sit and stay. And that's a pity for Team WAGAMI. They had good chances in that end, but it is a steal of 1 to the Swiss team. And that means at the halfway point, it is Team Switzerland 5, Team WAGAMI 1. That's the Swiss coach, Katja Schweitzer, offering words of encouragement to the Swiss team. Their game going pretty consistently. Team WAGAMI from the US just not quite finding the precision. Not quite finishing off their chances, actually. They're doing quite well making chances, but not quite finishing them off. How's everyone else doing at half-time on sheet 4 next door? We have all-conquering Korea, and they are playing in-form Scotland. As we thought, super tight game over there, and it is Korea finally getting 1 on the board, and that means at the halfway, after 4 ends, it's Scotland 2, Korea 1. An interesting situation on sheet 5. It is Team Albatros Trentino from Italy, and they are up against last year's champions, Team Slovakia. And Slovakia cancelled out the whole first 3 ends with a big score of 4 in the 4th end, and that means after 4 ends, it is 4 points each between Albatros Trentino and Slovakia. Over on sheet 6, you remember Poland put up a huge score of 5, and Team Italy putting a 1 on the board in their 3rd end. They have just concluded their 4th, but they haven't put the score up yet. But after 3 ends on sheet 6, it is Poland 5, Italy 3. Over on sheet 1, it is the home club from Curling Club Betsikon. I'm just standing up to get a better view over the sheets. And it is 4 points to Curling Club Betsikon, 3 to Team England. Another accurate start for the Swiss team in their 5th end. They are +4 They do not want stones out front. All stones out front, they will be protected by a free guard zone. And any stone out front, no matter the colour, is a stone that Team WAGAMI from the US, that's a stone that they can use. So you will see the Swiss really try to keep play in the house, in the rings. So Stacey Rice, important that she sets up the end here. She just wants that stone to stop. It's just going to slip into the rings though. And that means it is not protected by free guard zone. Her line was spot on there. That's exactly where she wants. She wants to set up the end away from the centre. But they need to start putting a bit more pressure on Switzerland here, the US team. Stephanie Compliment being asked to remove that blue. She does make connection, but not enough to remove the blue from play. A bit of a let-off for the US then. Yeah, what to do? Free guard zone is still active. You could put a guard up there. I think I like that call. Yeah, let's just play a gentle weight towards the yellow. We don't need to remove the yellow immediately. And the Swiss haven't been missing too many. And it might be safer if we just drop a blue right in front of that yellow. Keep some backing there. Something like that, but... Oh, that's just snuck through as well. So Switzerland have a chance to chase that blue again on the anti-clockwise handle this time. We can't see all of that blue, so we don't want to throw the stone too hard. We need it to curl a little bit towards the end, otherwise it's going to stay a bit too straight. So just a slow takeout, or a barrier weight, you would say if you're from Scotland. Yeah, nice controlled weight there from Pierre-Alain Tessier. You can see just that not quite so fast with the weight, and just a lovely curl at the end. Great throw from him. It is still Team WAGAMI who have last stone in this fifth end, and they need to start keeping stones in play. We don't really want to remove those yellows immediately, otherwise Switzerland will simply remove them back and we'll end up with no stones in play. Better idea is something like this. We just want to play draw weight, T weight. Let's just keep stones in play, give that blue a little bit of backing, keep it a bit safer. So that just coming up short, but that's okay. A stone is no use through the back in this situation. The US has to start getting some points building. And that's a blue that they can use in the future. And Switzerland recognising that blue could be dangerous for them. And Pierre-Alain Tessier being asked to remove that stone just played by the US. Which he does very nicely. I feel the Swiss are just starting to put the foot down a little bit here. Important that Team Wagami can start getting a couple more points on the board. Don't let the Swiss get too far ahead of them. So same idea, gentle weight, no point removing those yellows, otherwise your blue will just be removed straight away. We just want to nudge up to the yellows, keep something behind it, provide a bit of safety. Stay, stay, stay. We hear Jeff Schnover saying, and that yellow does stay, and you can see what a difference that makes. Now, if you punch that blue straight back, it's just going to run into the yellow. And that's why we didn't really want that yellow to go. We're quite happy for that yellow to hang around and provide some backing. So not so easy, this shot now for Swiss. That was a good throw from second thrower from Team Wagami, Scott Smith. That same slow takeout, kind of barrier weight for Konstantin Schmidt. And gosh, he's done that beautifully. Easy to get the wrong angle on that shot and just pop that blue straight back onto the yellow. But he does not. There we are, just catching just about half of that stone and popping it straight through that gap. Yeah, important that Team Wagami try not to let their heads go down. Just stick to their task. Same thing again here. Same idea. We need some blues in play. Let's try and just get a blue either in front of that yellow that's near the centre line, or nudging up to the yellow in the back ring. That works as well. We need to find a safe spot for this blue. This looks very nice. That's a fine effort from Jeff Schnover. Similar situation for Swiss. If they get their angles wrong, there are two yellows that might catch that blue and might mean the blue still hangs around. And this is all that the team from US can do. They just need to stick to their task, keep their confidence good, play the right shots, and Switzerland has to miss eventually. And this can get a bit dispiriting. You feel like no matter what you do, your opposition are playing pretty well and neutralising all of those efforts. Look at that again, just punching that straight through that nice open space. And also hanging around at the side of the sheet. Important is to concentrate for Team US. Try not to let the good play of your opposition get into your head and make you change your mind, make you question your own tactics. Just same kind of shot works here. Let's try to find a safe place for a blue stone. We will be talking to Team WAGAMI after this game. That's new for this year. We have Media Corner, and we'll try and talk to as many of the teams as we can. We already had a chat with the team from St. Gallen Club here in Switzerland. And we spoke to Team Scotland earlier on today, and we will be chatting with our visitors from North America, Team WAGAMI from the US. We will be chatting to them after this game. So stay tuned for that. We will be putting those team interviews on the tournament Instagram, which is IWCT_CH. So that's come up a bit short, but as we said, no use having long stones at the moment for the US. They need stones in play. They need something to nudge up to hide behind. Update on our neighbouring sheet, on sheet 4. It's the clash of the Titans. It's top of the table Korea against informed Scotland, and it is Scotland who are starting to play the scoreboard a bit. Scoring 1 with last stone in the 5th end, but that restores their cushion of 2 points. It is Scotland leading Korea 3-1 going into the 6th end. Poland over on sheet 6. They are having a real nice game against Team Italy. They have put a 2 on the board in their 4th end, and after that huge score of 5 in the 2nd, that means they are leading Team Italy 7 points to 3. A blank end on sheet 5 between Team Albatross Trentino from Italy and Team Slovakia. Silly billies. Remember, ends count in this competition. Don't waste ends by blanking. And over on sheet 1, it's the home club, Team Vetsicon. They are playing another team from British curling, team from England. And England have put another 3 on the board, and that means it is England leading Vetsicon 6 points to 4. I think this is the first time we've had an English team in this competition, at least for a long time. And they're still looking for their first win this weekend. But going well over on sheet 1. So this, goodness me, is this an important shot for Sean Timberlake? He does manage to move one of the Swiss stones, but he does not find a nice angle. And he is going to have a tricky shot, I think, with his final throw. 2 stones to come, 1 for Swiss, 1 for the US. It can get a little bit colder for the wheelchair players because, of course, there's no sweeping. And for foot players, that mostly keeps you nice and warm if you're sweeping up and down the ice. But they have some little tricks to keep themselves warm, the wheelchair players. Some have the little hot pads that you can keep in your pocket. Or you'll see some folks even with a little blanket over their knees. That's found a good spot, though, for the Swiss stone. He's just changed the path for where the US has to go. Yeah, they're going to have to go a bit wider now on the ice on this anti-clockwise handle, as Jeff Schnover is indicating. This is the other option. This path is clear, but maybe a bit more difficult to land the shot. Neither side easy for Sean Timberlake. A big shot for him, though. Sean Timberlake, he really needs to find a magic shot here. On its way, he needs to be fully 4 foot, the blue circle. Oh gosh, look at that curl. Look at that curl. Just takes a bit of the momentum off, but that was the last stone. He did have the right weight, Sean Timberlake, as we could see. And it just redirected from that stone out front, where they need to keep trying, the team from the US. That was a brave throw from Sean Timberlake. He was facing, I think, 4 yellow stones. So that was a brave throw from him. That could have been a lot worse than it was. He had good weight, and yeah, that's what the US needs to focus on for the last couple of ends, or last 3 ends. We're now about to start end 6. They were doing the right thing in that 5th end, trying to get blues in play, trying to find a safe spot for blue stones, either behind guards or just nudging up to stones already in play. And that's what they need to keep doing. But it is a steal of 1 for the Swiss, and they are now 6-1 ahead. That is a nice throw from Stephanie Complement. It's more aggressive than it needs to be. The Swiss situation hasn't really changed. They are +5. Therefore, they don't need to play aggressive stones. They don't need to score points at the moment. Their objective is making sure that the US team are not scoring big points. And as we said in the previous end, all stones out front really are more helpful to the US team than they are to Switzerland. So that stone, a little bit too aggressive from Stephanie Complement. Oof. And that was supposed to be a guard, or that is a guard from the US. Jeff Schnover rather, just going to make sure that all of the stone is over all of the line. It is. But that's what the US needs. They need stones out front. They need stones in play. Otherwise, it's too easy for the Swiss team to just knock them out of play. That is going to hang on for Stephanie Complement, but leave space for the US to still follow that path. Stacey Rice then being asked to draw in behind that guard, and I think she's done this beautifully. Just needs to put its brakes on that stone. Now, we just need to be touching the rings for that blue to be counting. Next time we see the overhead, we'll have a look, see if that blue from Stacey is just hanging on. And this is a stone you don't see that often. Switzerland eager to actually just remove their own stone from the centre there. As we said, that first throw from Stephanie Complement, a bit too aggressive. Stones out front, helping the US. So she certainly moves it off the centre line. But leaves the shooter hanging around, and that means there's now a chance for Scott Smith. There you go. Removes the original stone, but doesn't fully roll out of play herself, and that means Scott Smith now has the chance to get a stone in behind cover. His line looks really nice. Just coming up short with weight, but definitely the tolerance at this stage for the US is short before long. An extra guard can only help them. The Swiss could try to remove guards again, but this is also a good call. Deciding, okay, if we don't go around those guards, corner guards we call them, towards the sides of the sheet, if we don't do that, then that's exactly where the US are aiming for. So what if we get there first and cut off that path? Line is perfect. It is hidden behind everything, but it has slipped beyond T. And that means the US can indeed try to get a stone in behind those guards out front. And ahead of that T line is where they would really like it. Looks like they found that same nice line. And it has a Bremstein, you see in German, a break stone. And that is exactly what it has done. So that blew a little bit too long on its own, but following that same line of the yellow, here it comes. So punching that yellow through and hanging around itself. So that's a decent result. Over on sheet 5, gang. World's strangest scoreboard going on over there. It was Team Albatross Trentino from Italy. They're the ones who had the brighter start. But then Team Slovakia came back with a big 4, a blank 5th end. And then guess what happened in the 6th end? It was a steal of 4 to Slovakia. So a remarkable scoreboard over there. It is 8 points to 4. Slovakia are ahead. With just 3 players, Slovakia, unfortunately, one of their team not feeling so good and resting up at the hotel. That's me checking what else is going on from my little perch up here. And that was a nice throw from the Swiss. And we're going to need that same line and same kind of throw now from the US. We are right above sheet 3 in the live stream office here. Same line, similar weight, please, from the US is what's needed. That weight's not going to get there, though. Line again, beautiful. But yeah, they're not quite finishing off their chances, the US. They're doing well with setting ends up and giving themselves chances, but they're not quite being consistent enough with finishing it. And that gives the Swiss team a big chance to put pressure on now. Swiss third thrower and skip Konstantin Schmidt following that same line. But he doesn't mind now if this one drops a little bit short and just kind of block the way for the US. It does. I think there's still space. I think on the clockwise handle, left to right as we're looking at the screen. I do think there's still space for the US here. But more and more guards out front, making the path a little bit different every time. Jeff Schnover then, he needs a bit more weight on this. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I think his weight was not bad. Just catching an edge of that guard up front, but you can see that blue is wide open, and that's a blue that we can use with our final two stones, maybe to punch it forward. But US, unfortunately, just not taking their chances at the moment. And the Swiss have called a timeout. As we said, it's not really a timeout because we have a central time. But it's a 1 minute coach interaction. Swiss coach Katja Schweitzer will be on her way down. So you can see the dilemma. Switzerland have a yellow stone in play just about back of the 4 foot or so. And they're quite happy with that. But that blue just thrown by Jeff Schnover in quite a dangerous place. Dangerous for the US that they can push it forward, but also dangerous for Swiss to remove because of those 2 yellows that are in the house. What you don't want to do is you're trying to remove that blue and then you just punch it straight back onto your own yellow, and suddenly it's a blue stone hidden in behind all that cover out front. And that's what they're nervous of. That's what they'll be talking to Katja about. So a couple of options available for Switzerland. They could remove that blue and either punch it through that gap between the 2 yellows, and even if you end up taking the back yellow with it, I don't really mind that. Or you could play your own guard. It's the US team who have last stone here in the 6th end. So another guard out front guarding their blue stone. That works, but they're maybe a little bit nervous of accidentally pushing that blue into a happier position. Or what they have decided here looks like they're going to try and sink another yellow in behind that blue just thrown by the US. I think, to be honest, this is my least favourite call. I think I would probably have courage and just try to remove that blue. Just punch it straight back at weight, and even if you lose your yellow at the back, I don't mind that. But Hans has been throwing very nicely all day. Ooh, that one's just come up short though, so let's see what the US can do with their dangerous blue out front. Team Poland over on sheet 6. They are having a real strong game against Team Italy, both of those teams also on 1 win. And that will make a big difference at this stage in the competition, to go to 2 wins or to stay on 1 win. And it's Team Poland who are currently on top. They are leading Team Italy after 5 ends. They're leading 8 points to 3. On sheet 4 next door, Korea, Scotland. I would not be surprised if we're watching that same game this time tomorrow, people. 2 very strong teams out there, and that reflected in a very tight score. After 6 ends, it's Scotland 3, Korea 2. And again, really close for the US. Right idea, nice setup, but not quite finding that finishing touch. Over on sheet 1, it's the home team from Veticon. They're playing against Team England. And Veticon getting a 1 in the 5th end, and that means their score, it is England 6, Veticon 5. Last stone in the 6th end for first Switzerland team. Just wanting to plug that hole in the centre. And I think that's probably enough. That's going to be pretty difficult to get anything through that gap at T weight. I think you may have to come around the side of everything on the clockwise handle. Pretty much there, where Jeff Schnover is just currently passing by. Yeah, if you want to go at the middle, you are going to have to throw this at weight to keep it a bit straight. Threading the needle is the call. And actually, if you can just catch an edge of this yellow, I do think that blue that's in the front ring, I do think that's second shot. So if you can just catch an edge of this at weight, that could be enough to put another point on the board. Critical is to get it through that gap. Has he made it? Is it through the gap? It is through the gap. Oh, what a shot. Take a bow, Sean Timberlake. That sure looks like 2 blues from our angle. And that stone just holding its breath. Here it comes. How did that make it past? Holding its breath, that little blue stone. But that should cheer everyone up in Team US. They really had to be patient and had to really work hard. But yeah, what a great shot. That's given everyone a boost. Good to see big smiles from Team US. So this game not over yet. That is a big score of 2 for Team Wagami from US, and that means going into the 7th end, it is Swiss first team 6, Team Wagami from the US 3. Wow, so what a final throw that was from Sean Timberlake. All the gold stars for him. He still looks very serious, not allowing himself to have a smile about that one just yet. But they really needed that, the US team. They'll be delighted to have two points on the board there. We do have a slightly longer clock for a wheelchair game. It just takes a little bit extra time to move yourself around on the ice if you're a wheelchair user rather than on foot. So we have 2 hours 15 on the clock, and you need to finish your 7th end by the time the clock gets to 0 in order to start the 8th end. We have exactly 17 minutes left. But both teams will just need to keep eyes on the clock, not take too long making a decision. Otherwise, they will not get to play an 8th end. And lovely start from Stacey Rice. That is exactly where she wanted that stone. Just in front of house, protected by free guard zone. Job done. There's a lovely close-up of Stephanie Combremont about to throw. You can see just that little turn of the wrist at the end. That's how you put a handle on the stone when you are using stick delivery. And that's not a bad shot from Stephanie. She does just nudge that blue stone into play, but that means now that the blue is touching the rings, that means it isn't in free guard zone anymore. And that means Switzerland could go after that blue stone with their next throw. So actually, not a bad result for Stephanie. When wheelchair curling first started being played, we didn't have the sticks for delivery. And you just kind of leaned over and just threw the stone with your arm. But one was never very well balanced throwing the stone that way. So I think, yeah, the stick delivery really enhanced the game enormously. And stick delivery also used by foot players, particularly if you have issues with mobility in your knees or legs. And as a similar idea, you can just stand and use the stick to push, or you can take a few steps and walk with the stick before you release. But definitely helped the wheelchair game enormously, bringing much more consistency with the delivery stick. And this looks nice from Stephanie Combremont. Perfect T-line. dragging play away from the centre. And that's exactly what she was asked for. It's Switzerland finally again with last stone in the 7th end. And that dictates a little bit our objectives. Objective for Switzerland is to score something, and actually objective for US is also to score something. And the most likely way for US to score is to have guards out front and a US stone behind. And that's why Switzerland playing away from the centre. Rather, they tempt the US into playing the game towards the sides of the sheet. But the US really have to go all out aggressive from here. We only have 2 ends left, this end and an 8th end. And yeah, I don't think the US team, they can't afford for the Swiss team to score any more, really. Even a score of 1 here to Switzerland, that would put the score overall at 7-3, and that would be quite a big mountain to climb. This is the right call then for Switzerland. A score of 1 is enough for them. And as we said, they're got a nice cushion at the moment. That's a great throw from Pierre-Alain Tessier. He's cleared up all those guards in the centre. Nothing left for the US to hide behind at the moment. And that's exactly what they wanted. Switzerland's easiest situation when they come to throw last stone is as few stones as possible in play. Yeah, let's have a look at this. 1, 2, 3 blues all on the move. Again, one of them does end up in the house, but that's still a great shot from Pierre-Alain. It's stones out front, it's guards that Switzerland that the US need. Yep, that's found a nice spot. But Switzerland objectives, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. In the 7th end, they just need to keep removing stones. The clearer, the better for Switzerland. The fewer stones in play, the more space that Hans has for his final throw, the better. So a huge throw from Pierre-Alain with his first shot, and this one going at full beans as well. It's certainly going to connect with the blue. It does, and oh, for an encore, he rolls in behind cover. I think 12 out of 10 for that shot for Pierre-Alain. Time to be mentally strong for the US. How can they get that blue stone in our picture? How can they get that to hang around? Where could be a safe place for that blue that Switzerland can't remove it, even though Switzerland have this last stone? I'm just keeping an eye on the time. We have 9 minutes left. We are exactly halfway through the end. It could be tight. They need to finish this 7th end before the time runs to 0. Team WAGAMI then chasing that yellow. He is going to make connection. Stop, 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 and it has stopped. That's a great shot from the Americans. Let's see that again. Lovely connection and rolling all the way in behind blue. Really nice. Statistically, Switzerland should be able to get this game over the finish line from here. But you never know. If the Americans can get a mistake or two from the Swiss, if they can even steal 1 point here, that might put a little seed of doubt in the Swiss minds. So that removes the guard, but it is still the US line 1. And if they can just keep replacing that guard, getting a nice accurate guard out front of that blue. Or the other choice would be to put a second blue into the rings, pretty much where Sean Timberlake is indicating here. That's the other choice. I think I might prefer that, you know. I think the blue in the 8-foot circle, I don't really think that's good enough to score them a point. I think that would be relatively straightforward for Switzerland to outscore. So let's see which handle this stone comes with. It's exactly centre ice. That can be difficult when your broom is exactly in the centre of the sheet. Yeah, surely he's trying to tuck a second blue in on the clockwise handle, in behind the yellows. That will put more pressure on Switzerland, more likely to get a mistake from Switzerland and more likely to steal. But no. He's going the anti-clockwise handle, and he is trying to replace the guard just removed by Switzerland. That certainly also puts pressure on the Swiss, but you can see that blue in the rings there is just over halfway out, and I think that leaves the Swiss enough space to simply draw with their last stone. But never easy without sweeping, using only upper body power. And actually, even the release is a little bit trickier for wheelchair athletes. As you can see, you have that one forward push, and that's it. The stone is on its way. Whereas when you're using leg drive, then you have a 2 or 3 seconds between kicking out from the hack before you have to release the stone at the hog line. So if you've rushed out of the hack, as I often do, then you have a few seconds to just feel how the stone is going. If you feel it's going a bit too quickly, you can pull it back a little. So that also increases the degree of difficulty for the wheelchair players. Copy-paste that shot from Switzerland. Still removing that guard. And it looks like we will be seeing the same attempt from Sean Timberlake. Just keep guarding that blue, and then that will force Switzerland to draw to the 4-foot, the blue circle, to win this end. Big shot for Sean Timberlake. We've seen this line a couple of times. This is coming in a little bit quicker than before, but that has also found a decent spot. I think the angles are quite nice for the US on those two blue stones. I'm not sure if there's a double takeout possible. I think, there we are, that's a nice view. I think if you would hit that front blue on the nose, I think it will still hang around. It will go back onto yellow, spring itself off onto the second blue, but it will still hang around. Let's see, Hans Burgener has been having a nice steady game out there this afternoon. They could do with getting on with this a bit. We've got less than 2 minutes left now for 3 stones. It's not that long. We have our first result of the afternoon session, viewer. It is a second win for Team Poland. And a real strong performance from them, finishing off with a steal of 3, and that means they have beaten Team Italy 11 points to 3. Good for you, Poland. That's a great result for them. The games on 4 and 5 are in their 8th end as well. Oh, that's a big miss for Switzerland. Right, US, you will never have a better chance to keep yourselves in this game. On sheet 4, in the Clash of the Titans, it's Scotland putting another 1 on the board. And it's Scotland 4-2 ahead. They're in their final end. But Korea with last stone, so definitely not all over there. And over on sheet 5, Team Albatross Trentino putting 2 on the board in the 7th end. It's 8-6 to Slovakia. They're also in their final end. And we are going to run out of time here on this game. We have 5 seconds left only. That is the buzzer to signal we are out of time. We have not finished the 7th end, so this will be the final end. This is good from Sean Timberlake. That's a nice throw from him. Just making a final throw for the Swiss team a bit more difficult. So, several options here. The 2 most obvious, either you just ignore all of those blue stones and just draw yourself, try to, yep, just where Konstantin is indicating, just outdraw all 3 blues on your own. I think that's what the call is. The other idea would be you can use those blues and play a hit and roll. And at some point, it's a little bit of personal choice. Which shot are you more comfortable with? But a fairly gentle push from Hans. This is not a takeout. So I think he's simply aiming to just outcount all 3 of those blues. And this will be for the game. He looks pretty good. Ooh. It is, though. A steal of 2. Now, let's see. I don't think we've got time to play an 8th end. I think that's it. Unless there was some timeout used in this game, a technical timeout or some other individual pause here. Let's see, that was certainly a score of 2. So maybe too little, too late for the team from the US, and that is handshake. So that was a strong finish from Team US. Well done to them. A score of steal of 2 in that final 7th end. But that means it is the first Swiss team. They hang on to win 6 points to 5 against Team WAGAMI from the US. So an intriguing game for us to watch there. Team WAGAMI making themselves chances, but finding their finishing touch a little bit too late. And it will be the Swiss first team who go to 2 wins. Team WAGAMI from the US, they will stay on 1 win, but we will go and have a chat to them after this game and look for the team interviews on the IG, the Instagram account, which is IWCT_CH. That's IWCT_CH. So we will try and have a word with our visitors from the US. They have come a long way to support our competition, so we say a big thank you to them. There you can see a few other games still on the ice. As usual, once the whole round is complete, the teams will be ranked according to games won, ends won, and shots won, points won. Confirmation at the bottom of your screen there. Final game score, a late surge from the Americans, but it's the Swiss who hang on to win 6 points to 5. Once everyone else is finished, the teams will be ranked according to games won, ends won, points won. The teams will be ranked 1 through 12, and we will have one more round in the Schenkel tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the morning. That's very early for a Sunday. But we will try to feature our international guests again tomorrow on our live stream on Sheet 3. That will be at 8:30 in the morning. And then you certainly don't want to miss the ranking games at lunchtime. At 12:30, we will have the Zurich Caledonian Pipe Band, and they will be piping all of the teams onto the ice for the ranking games at 12:30. That starts. The Pipe Band will bring all the teams, welcome them onto the ice, and then the finals will be at 12:45. It will be a closed final, so that will, at that point, be a simple win or lose. 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, and all the other rankings. Who will we see in the final? There are still plenty of teams out there who can qualify. Keep an eye on the Instagram and on the tournament website, IWCT.ch. Join us back tomorrow morning at 8:30 for the final round of the Schenkel, at 12:30 for the final ranked games, when we will be piped into the ice hall by the Zurich Caledonian Pipe Band. So join us tomorrow. Thanks for your company today. Bye for now.
Passion, Liebe zum Detail, Innovation, Team Spirit, große Emotionen und bleibende Momente. Mediarent, powering events since 1933.